paying off.
Yeah.
Ginger Jesus says dinosaurs came before the chicken and the egg. I think that's true. Dinosaurs came before everything.
No, all living things that you can find by digging up dirt and splitting rocks and stuff, the great majority of all of that life died in the flood and was buried and turned to fossils.
Let me ask you something.
And now we dig it up and we listen to morons who think that finding a rock with an imprint on it tells you anything about how long ago anything happened.
Let me ask you something.
It's the stupidest platform that exists.
Did dinosaurs die from the asteroid or from the flood?
No, there's no asteroid.
So they died in the flood?
Yeah.
What about the sea dinosaurs? How
Oh,
would the flood kill them?
see, you have to understand the scale of it. When you go to the Grand Canyon and you see the great staircase or whatever it is that they talk about, that's the kind of scale that you have to consider. And since God made a promise that would never be done again, there are no other events like that you can observe the results of. That's why it's the definition of what you see when you dig in the ground.
I would still think sea dinosaurs would be able to survive the flood. Because it's not like adding more... You can't drown them. So how would adding more water get rid of them?
They're buried. See, that's the whole thing, is that the scale of the flood and the impact that it had on the existing landscape is so traumatic that not even anything that's in the water. And you know what? Now that I think about it really hard, the what it
Your
says,
logic doesn't make sense.
What it says in the story, I can't actually specifically remember if it actually talks about the water life, because it doesn't say anything about Noah going out to collect fish or anything that lives in the water.
And what about the air dinosaurs? Are we just going to chalk those up to lightning? Lightning got those ones?
Well,
they died in the sky?
If it storms for 40 days and does what it says in the Bible, I mean, the only things to survive are on the ark.
Why didn't Noah bring any dinosaurs on the ark? I think you have bought like at least one. Like some of the plant eaters, at least the long necks. Why didn't Noah bring a long neck? We could have long necks right now if he decided to bring a pair.
He
fucked up on
the numbers of dinosaurs that are, pulled out of the ground. It's kind of like the early hominid species. And, there are all sorts of just, complete atheist scientists out there who do work that show that you've got humans and dinosaurs, they're next to each other. This deep time thing isn't real. But you have to go and find the commentary.
Okay.
Because it's all over the place if you go looking for it. Now, if you only take the recommended videos off of YouTube that want to tell you about how this stupid telescope they supposedly put in orbit is seeing the edge of the universe and shit, if that's the kind of stuff you like to watch, you're never going to run into this kind of material. And it's what you need in order to get any kind of a sense of what these people are saying about what they can do with these devices. What's really weird is that since this modern epic of supposedly breaking down the fundamentals of the material universe, they haven't actually done any real science. What they do is they build gadgets and they predict a result and they don't get it, and so then they do a smudge thing and the whole picture gets more complicated. Up until that point, where the whole quantum electrodynamics frickin' thing got started and this stupid particle model of the standard model of physics. It does the opposite of what real science does. And that's where that video that I sent you about the proton-electron mass ratio.
Mm-hmm. That shit was way over my head, by the way.
His name is Alexander Unzicker. He's absolutely brilliant because he at some point he stepped back and said to himself, what's really being done? See, he was an apostle. He was a disciple of the mainstream accepted, that all of these crazy speculations that these people make. And he said, I'm looking at the history leading up to this point, and nothing that we're doing reflects what occurred while we were actually advancing our understanding. It's the opposite. Every single time somebody, and this I take this directly from him because I've watched him discuss the instances that he's talking about, the leaps, the steps that have been taken over time. Basically, you get to Galileo and Kepler and then Newton and Huygens and from there. Those guys, what they were doing is they were finding that the speculated powers that were controlling things, that no, the actual material and their motions and the things that we can watch happen, they just follow relationships. And so what they did is they basically wiped the board of a bunch of entities controlling how all of the things work. And they said, well, no, it's this. These are basic influences and relationships that always hold, and they did experiments to show that they hold. And over time, you move from motion to energy and heat and light and how all of that works. It's how you get optics. It's how you end up
sound,
figuring out how electricity works, acoustics, all of these things. They're not
big sound.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many of those observable relationships that have been looked at and understood, and we have mathematical relationships that allow us to have successful predictive power to engineer technologies that can actually make people better at doing things. And it should be about getting stuff done, not about making gadgets. And that's what's happened.
But you make gadgets to get stuff done, though.
But if you're building a gadget to do something that you never do, what's happening? That's the definition
of America, dude. People buying gadgets for something that they never do.
These accelerators that they're building, all it does is it just creates a cycle. And the fundamentals at the core of the thing themselves have to be misunderstandings of what reality truly is in order for this to go this way.
I think for some of the gadget making, sometimes it's just it's not why, it's why not.
You want to know what it is?
Like when you're a scientist and you want to make some cool fucking gadget, it's like, I don't know, why shouldn't I make a bunch of fans that light up in somebody's computer and make them go to music and they have a fucking really cool lighting effect.
Yeah, see,
it doesn't always have to have some like deep meaning or have some really fucking purposeful use of it. It's just a why not case. Yeah. It's a lot of time with the gadgets.
Yeah, pure consumer products.
Yeah, and that's what America is.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, we really are. We're burying ourselves in bullshit with the way this is going right now.